There are a lot of weird characters in Deltarune. For example, there's Jengle, who is like a great example of somebody that's absolutely mentally insane in Deltarune. We also have C-Round. C-Round's actually really cute. Why would we throw C-Round in here with weird characters? And then we also have the King. He's definitely a really just something else. But none of these characters, surprisingly, are as strange as two boneheads. Sans and Papyrus are the strangest characters in all of Deltarune, in my opinion. And I'm about to tell you exactly why. So I'm sure most of you know about the world of Deltarune, where your choices don't matter, and whatever you do doesn't change your fate, and all that mess. I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun, kind of. Deltarune is Toby Fox's next great game, and this is after his first RPG, Undertale, blowing up all across the internet. In Undertale, you get to choose to either kill or not to kill sweet, lovable monsters. And why would you kill them? They're so amazing. You're a monster. But if you go and kill everyone, well, let's just say you're gonna have a bad time. Most of you probably want to know why I put Sans and Papyrus on this crazy thumbnail and was like, hey, these guys are the strangest in all of Deltarune. And you're right, you should be questioning that. There's probably very little reason for it, at least in your opinion, and you're wrong, because there's a lot that is wrong with Sans and Papyrus in Deltarune, and I'm about to tell you why. However, we can't go any farther without me first telling you guys that there are going to be spoilers here. There are tons of spoilers here. So if you have not watched or played the games, you need to go do that first. Please go check out Deltarune and Undertale. Links will be in the description below. And if you want to watch a series on it, I have one myself, and there are plenty of other YouTubers that have done it themselves. So go check those out. Now that we've gone through those warnings, and some of you guys have gone and watched 12 hours of content, or played 12 hours of content, let's talk about the game. I love Undertale and Deltarune. They are amazing games, so much that I didn't even want to jump back into Undertale because I didn't want to take monsters from the surface, even if that means it's just sending them back just before they left. I felt like if I restarted the game, it would bring them back to where they originally were, and I didn't want to do it. So I spent 7 months wanting to play the game, but keeping myself from doing it. That's totally normal, right? That's like a totally normal thing for people to do, right? Anywho, it's actually pretty funny that Papyrus is so important, considering we don't even see him in Deltarune once. The only way we know he actually exists in Deltarune is because his brother, Sans, mentions him once, and whenever we knock on the door to his house, we also hear the distant trestle of bones, which is linked to Papyrus's song in Undertale. Because Papyrus isn't seen nearly as much in Deltarune as we see him in Undertale, there really won't be nearly as much on him in this video. But honestly, do you guys really care? I mean, I know who you're all here for. Sans is obviously the one that you guys are all here for. Papyrus was secondary, I know. Don't deny it. Don't even try. The worlds of Undertale and Deltarune are pretty connected. We know this since many characters in Deltarune are, well, also in Undertale. That's clear. We also have a little more evidence to show that Deltarune is just an alternate universe of Undertale. Alphys herself says that she has done research on alternate dimensions and has discovered that they are real. Now, in this different universe, the war between humans and monsters didn't happen. Evidence for this includes the fact that Azrael's still alive, and Undyne still has 2 eyes, and there's more to it, but if you really want to know more, there's a card up in the top right that takes you to a game theory video. Shout out to them. They may or may not be a little bit of my inspiration here for this video. While the war is what causes Undertale to differ from Deltarune so much, we also know that the ages of the characters are very different in Deltarune as well. We look at Azrael. We see that he is nearly an adult now. That's hard to imagine. I'm not going to lie. And guess who else is also aged? Monster Kid. Monster Kid's now older. And guess what? Gerson, the turtle, he's now dead. How sad. I'm so sad. But it seems like everyone's just aging like normal, right? Here's where things get off in Deltarune. This is also what makes Deltarune an alternate universe. The timelines do not match up with Deltarune and Undertale. If you look at Deltarune compared to Undertale, we see characters living in time periods they shouldn't be living in. Asriel died many years before we even meet Monster Kid, or Gerson for that matter. Frisk didn't fall just after Asriel died. Asriel died in the 2010 decade, and we fell sometime past that. However, if we look at the end credits, a time just after Frisk fell into the underground, clearly because Frisk was the one that freed everyone, we'll see some sweet scenes of the monsters living above ground. But everything looks pretty modern, which is kind of weird because 2010 is whenever Asriel died. That would only have to be a little while ago. Everyone thinks it was this long period of time, but from what this looks like, the time period in between Frisk falling into the underground and Asriel dying is actually really short. But this still doesn't make sense because Asriel still gets older, yes, right? But everyone else gets older too. So we're kind of still in this predicament here. Asriel, Toriel, Asgore, Chris, Noel Holiday, and Rudolph Holiday, they all have ages relative to each other that is the same in Deltarune compared to Undertale. And before any of you start throwing a bunch of accusations at me for telling me that Chris doesn't exist in Undertale, honestly, if you look at the evidence, we can kind of tell that Chris kind of is Kara. I mean, the kid's a sibling of Asriel. He wears a yellow and green striped shirts, loves chocolate and the color green, gets carried regularly by our favorite goat boy, and flashes bright red eyes at you in the middle of the night with a strange smile. Toby Fox has very clearly pointed towards Chris being Kara in Deltarune. However, as I was saying earlier, their ages match up in both games. For example, we'll see that Chris / Kara, if say he or she was like 9 in Undertale, and Asriel was 10, and now here in Deltarune, we see that Chris is probably more of a senior in high school, maybe a junior, and Asriel is now a freshman in the university. We kind of see that match up for all of those people that I just named. However, everyone else matches up on a different level. They're all much later in the Undertale timeline. They've been brought back and now living in the same age as Asriel and Kara. However, we've got two Sly Skeletons that didn't decide to work with that. Sans and Papyrus, of course, don't fit in at all. In Deltarune, Sans and Papyrus have only just moved into the town. Sans says so himself right here that he just moved in and hardly knows anyone. We also know that Sans just befriended Toriel the night before, solidifying the fact that Sans and Papyrus probably moved in sometime the previous week. However, in Undertale, the Skella Bros moved in a while ago. The shopkeeper says so herself, pretty much solidifying the fact that these two don't fit in with everybody else. So Sans and Papyrus moved in a lot later compared to Undertale. So why in the world do they not fit in? Well, I think Sans knows more than he lets on, and honestly, that's kind of expected. Sans is Sans. He loves science, knows about the ability to save, and already has a ton of meta knowledge in Undertale. He even winks at us when he claims to never have met us before, a common sign of him being sarcastic. Note, however, that Chris and Frisk are not the same person, but he still notices. That's another very interesting point. But that's not all. Look at Sans' secret workshop in Undertale. We discover many things, including a broken machine and some strange blueprints, but most importantly, there is a single card that lies in a photo album in a drawer. This card is only noticed by the protagonist in special circumstances, but it has a poorly drawn image of 3 people on it with the words "Don't Forget" written in lowercase. Don't Forget is the title of the song in the conclusion of Deltarune Chapter 1. And the 3 persons on the card could be Susie, Chris, and Rousey. The photo album also contains images of people the protagonist does not recognize. These people could be Darkners. We don't meet any Darkners in Undertale, which would explain why the protagonist hasn't met them before. And we haven't even touched Gaster yet. So get ready for some handy info. Get it? Good one, right? Good one. Yeah, it's totally good. See, come on. No, it is a good. WD Gaster, Sans, and Papyrus are the only 3 people in all of Undertale to be named after a font. Sans with Comic Sans, Papyrus with, well, Papyrus, and WD Gaster with Wingdings. There's even more evidence to link Gaster to Sans and Papyrus. For example, Gaster could be another member of the skeleton family. His sprite sorta looks like a skeleton. Sans also uses a weapon in his battle that looks like a giant skull and is labeled Gaster Blaster in the files. Probably most of you already knew that, but I've just got to bring that up. Finally, Gaster has a special TrueLab entry labeled Entry 17 that can only be accessed by changing your Undertale save file. Some of you probably have heard it before, but here it is for those of you that need a refresher. Dark. Darker. Yet darker. The darkness keeps growing. The shadows cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? Sans and Papyrus could be the last 2 people referenced in this dialogue. However, this entry has much more significance than just linking Papyrus and Sans to Gaster. Notice how Gaster says dark, darker, yet darker. This is so pointing towards the dark world of Deltarune. If you think it isn't, go look at the Undertale Twitter page. Look at the text whenever Deltarune was announced. See how it's spaced out specifically like the entry? See how it's all caps, just like the Wingdings are all capitalized? Notice how the Twitter page directly quotes the entry by saying, very, very interesting. If that is not Gaster, I don't know who else it could be. If you need more evidence, look at the intro to the game. Whenever you first launch the game, you'll be talked to by a mysterious character, and you go through this survey where you make this character that ends up getting discarded and all this stuff. That suspicious narrator talks just like WD Gaster does. My friends, I am certain that WD Gaster has a major role in Deltarune, and that isn't even the focus of this video, but I'm just trying to show you guys that Gaster is linked to both games. He knows about both games. So we know that WD Gaster clearly has a lot to do with Deltarune. And due to Sans and Papyrus' relation to him, we can use this to help explain why the 2 skeletons are out of place. Now, we've gone over all this evidence, so we need to come up with the conclusion. What is the real reason for them being so different and out of the timeline? Well, hey, hold up here a second. Hey, guys, why is there nothing in the script on the conclusion? Uh-huh. Yeah? You sure? All right. Okay. All right. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. So my team is telling me that we don't have a conclusion. From what they're telling me, we can only theorize, and there's no theory here. Looks like I'm relying on you guys to come up with your own theories. Let me know down in the comments below what your theories are. There's many things it could be. There's many things that it could be. It could be that Gaster just has a relationship with those 2 that caused them to fall out of the timeline, but also know about us. Or maybe they're actually really from Undertale. Maybe Sans finally fixed his mysterious machine and somehow he managed to teleport him and Papyrus here into the world of Deltarune. Or maybe Sans and Papyrus just know about it. Maybe they aren't actually from there, but maybe they actually just know about the world of Undertale. And they only moved into town once they knew that the story of Deltarune was about to begin. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I don't know the full story. That's up for Toby Fox and his team to decide. I don't like to disappoint you guys, but I don't want to make statements either without having enough evidence to back it up. I'm gonna let their strangeness remain a mystery. And again, if you guys have some theories, let me know down in the comments below. But again, not my place to make clear statements like that. What we know for sure, though, is Sands of Papyrus just don't fit in with the rest of the characters of Deltarune. Not following the timeline everyone else is following will do that to you. And they have way too many mysteries in Undertale for us to just ignore this. Who knows, these guys may even get stranger when the full game comes out. We will just have to wait and keep watching. But that's just a theory. Wait. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep learning. Thanks for watching this through the end. You're pretty epic if you watched all the way down here. I loved making this video. This is the first one I've ever done like this, and I loved it so much. And I'm glad to know that you enjoyed it too. Make sure to consider subscribing and liking, but that's your choice, not mine. Guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.